So Richard, hi, you're in Kenya. And you're doing very important work on the continent regarding the transmission to cleaner energy and addressing climate issues. How is that going? And what are the initiatives that you've seen that are the most effective and that we could probably, like roll out across the continent, considering our very specific idiosyncrasies?
Yeah, thank you very much, Nika, for having me, and thanks to the keynote and also to Otumba, who have already spoken. Let me start by saying this, and I would deviate a little bit, but I would like to say this. Sometimes we speak as if nothing is happening in the continent. That's not true. If you do not appreciate progress, you can never make meaningful progress. That's a fact. If you look, like the keynote speaker said, Africa is actually one of the continents in the entire world that have ratified the Paris Climate Change Agreement. We are at 98% today. That is something we should be appreciative of. The policies are there. But one of the biggest challenges, before I get to what is already working, is that of perspective for the continent. We have a perspective that government must legislate policy, that government must implement policy, that government must report back on policy. It doesn't work that way anywhere in the world. So we need to then move away from that thinking that we must wait for policy to be put in place and then the policy implement itself as we fold our arms and wait for others to come and bail us out. It doesn't work that way. Climate change is a moving target. Having said that, it is not the absence of policy in the continent, it is the absence of turning policy into implementation. And each and every one of us have to play a role, whether we are as individual citizens, as institutions, regardless. We need to play a role. And when you look at that and look across the entire African continent, what we are seeing from the work that we are doing is that individual citizens, especially the young people, are devising climate action solutions that are not only helping solve problems, but that are creating job opportunities for them. Therefore means that we need to see climate action as an investment opportunity, as a solution to socio-economic process that can then help turn challenges to opportunities. And that way we are seeing them developing solar dryers that are helping mothers in the informal sector that constitute 80% of the entire population of the continent dry their food, put food on the table. We're seeing this in Uganda, we're seeing this in Kenya, we're seeing this in Cameroon, we're seeing this in Ghana, and even Nigeria, where we're working in Nasarawa State, with the Emirates of Nasarawa. So the point I am trying to make is that there are no absence of, so the question should be, how do we bring what is happening to scale? How do we bring impact to scale? That should really be the question that we should really be looking at if you are to make a change in the continent. Our mothers in villages are actually practicing nature-based agriculture. But how do we incentivize them to then be able to bring that to the fore? And that takes me to the point of incentives. As these actions are happening, when you look across the continent, policies are in place, and most of these policies have incentives, but we're not seizing them. If you take, for example, in most countries, if you take Kenya here, in their 2021 Finance Act, there was the scrapping of the VAT on briquettes, on burgers. Are we ceasing to create opportunities as a result of this? No, we fold our hands on top. But where young people are seizing that and turning waste to briquettes, they are actually filling the gap. So there are actions and opportunities happening across the continent, but our narrative has been the problem, that it looks like things are not happening, we are not doing enough. Of course, there is a lot to be done, but if you don't build on what is happening, we will not be able to bring impact to scale. Thank you.
Now, the second question is this. What are the main threats of climate change? And I leave this open to whoever wants to answer. What are the main threats of climate change?
I don't know. I mean, the person asking that, yes, we understand. I think we see them every day, the droughts, whether they're in the Horn of Africa or in the Sahel, the floods in Lagos. I don't know where the person is talking about. I mean, across the continent, they are manifested in droughts, locusts that we saw that affecting the Horn of Africa here, coming as a result of what is called the Indian dipole. I think those causes and the challenges, we see them every day, but the changing climate is only helping to turbocharge and supercharge these events that we are seeing, and they're only going to become worse. The big question again, as I said, yes, it's good to understand these concepts, what can we do to build resilience? And the answer is socio-economic, putting more money in the pockets and food on the table, so that when there is a drought, people can then be able to find alternatives and diversify to other things. So that when there is a flood, people can relocate. And when people have more money in more pockets, they can afford insurance. And lastly, we saw floods in Germany. We saw droughts across the entire world in the west of Canada and United States. We saw hurricanes in Louisiana. Just in 2020, there were claims of insurance by up to about 10 billion. When Cyclone Idai happened in Southern Africa, were there claims of any insurance? No, because people don't even have money to have access to insurance. These are the kind of things we need to be talking about, realistic, that touch people's lives.
Thank you very much, Dr. Munang.
Okay.
So the first question, and I think Dr. Munang will be the best person to answer this question. Now, a person asked this question. I'm going to read it out now. Just a minute, please. Okay. Do we think the common people understand what NDC is all about? Can you explain to a layman what it is and why he or she needs to be involved? That's the first question.
Come again. What did you say? I didn't hear what.
Okay. Let me take it again. Do we think the common people understand what NDC is all about? Can you explain to a layman what it is and why he or she needs to get involved? That's the question. Did you get it now?
Yes, I got it. Thank you very much. And actually, I was to bring that up, but now that you brought it up, that's excellent. Our mothers in the villages don't care the jargon, to be very honest. They don't care about climate smart agriculture. They don't care about EBA. They don't care about NDCs. They don't care about the words like just transition. They care about putting food on the table. They care about putting money in their pocket so that at least they can be able to afford accessories in which they need. That's their interest. And therefore, what does that mean? NDCs actually, these are just climate actions that are supposed to be implemented to pave a low emission development pathway. And how we communicate this to our communities is not just about talking about it, it's demonstrating them. As we're speaking today, every year in the continent, over 450 Africans die as a result of indoor pollution. These, our mothers and children dying, have committed no crime just because they don't have an alternative and they're using charcoal. If we go with an alternative, turning waste to fuel briquettes that are cheaper and present them to our mothers in communities, that's climate action. That's actually implementing NDCs. They will not care the word NDC. They will not embrace the solution because it is solving their socio-economic challenge. That's the kind of narrative we need. When we look across the entire African continent today, a mother in a village in explaining NDC who is losing food as a result of post-harvest losses. We're talking $48 billion in the entire continent. If a solar dryer developed can be availed to a mother to dry her food, she will understand the solution. That is NDC implementation. So we must move away from jargon and from talking about concepts and become realistic through solutions. So that's the way people will buy our NDC's implementation solutions and become part and parcel of it. And that is the biggest sustainability pathway that we need to take. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Dr. Munang, for that explanation. It's clear, it's simple, and even a layperson would understand and know what to do.